I'm going to explain in this video about the integrated rate law method. So children, we have seen on the previous day the different methods. We have seen the graphical method. Graphical method has its own limitation, that it can be used for very few species, and there is no involvement of time, and so if there is any problem in the graph paper, so we are unable to do it, and so there is the problem with the graphical method. Now in case of initial rate method, it can be used for different species, but there is no involvement of time. There is no involvement of time. There is no any relation of the time factor. So this method, integrated rate law method, is very much useful. Now this integrated rate law method, it has all the merits of any point, that here the defects in the graphical and the initial rate method, they are completely removed here. They are completely removed here in this method, and in this method there is the role, there is the role of time factor. So as a result, we are able to predict the extent of reaction, means up to which time or up to which concentration, what is the amount of substance consumed, and at what time it will be converted to the reactants, or similar things are done here. So in one word, that we can predict the reactants consumed, products formed, as well as the time factor, and as a result we get an equation, and in this it is based on integration, and it is as a result called as integrated rate law equation, and by solving we get integrated form, and here this k is equal to 2.303 k log. Here we get the r naught upon r. So this k is rate constant. This t is the time. R naught concentration of reactant or reactants at t is equal to 0. It means R naught is the concentration at the start of experiment, that we have started experiment at this point, and this R concentration of reactants or products after time t. So this is the integrated rate law equation, and on keeping the values of this and this, we get the rate constant, and children know the rate law equation, and by putting the value we know we can have the concentration, and we can find out the order of reaction. So this method is very much important to find out the order of reaction, and there is the involvement of time also. Now this is the next very important part, that is pseudo first order reaction. Pseudo means false. Pseudo means false. So actually these are special type of reactions which appears to be of first order, but they are not of first order. So pseudo first order reactions are the reactions which appears to be of first order, which appears to be of first order. It seems that the reactions are or reaction is of first order, but in actual practice, the order is somewhat different and is not one. So this is pseudo first order reaction, children. It appears to be of first order, but it is never of first order. The order is something different. There are many examples, children. First is hydrolysis. Hydrolysis of cane sugar. Hydrolysis of esters. So these are the reactions and their order is something different. It appears to be of first order. Like see, when you take cane sugar, cane sugar, it is sucrose, C12, H22, O11. This is sucrose or cane sugar. When we add n moles of water, then after hydrolysis, there is formation of n moles of glucose. This is glucose and n moles of fructose. This is fructose. So children, you have to keep in mind that when sugar or cane sugar is hydrolyzed, this is hydrolysis. So we get glucose and fructose of n molecules. But if we write down the expression, so expression is something different. So here rate, it is K, and let it be let power A. Here or B. So this is glucose, this is fructose. Glucose and fructose, they have the same formula. So here the order is something different. It appears to be of one, but it is not of one order. And so such action. Similarly, all the esters, they do not follow first order mechanism. Now I am going to explain next very important topic, half-life period, T half. And so simply we can define it, the time period or the time duration in which the amount of a substance is reduced to half of its original amount. So it is defined as the time period in which the amount of substance is reduced to half of its original amount. So children, this is very much important term in chemical kinetics, nuclear chemistry also, because the nuclear materials or radioactive substances, they are highly stable and they remain in the atmosphere, they remain in the nature for millions of years ago. That's why the concept of half-life was incorporated. This is the only reason that the radioactive substances are able to remain in the nature for millions of years ago, and as a result we use this term to make time period slightly reasonable. Now see how. For example, children, carbon has an isotope C14. C14 is the isotope of carbon. It is found in nature in all the organic substances, animals, plant, human beings, all. C14. C14 is an isotope of carbon, and so in nature there are two types of CO2 available. One is normal, which is C12, and other is of C14. So children, you have to know this. C14 is an isotope. It emits radiations, but the number of radiations emitted are much less, and so it is unable to harm our body or any other animal or plant. So its amount is much less in atmosphere. Now when any animal takes up any natural food material, then C14 enters into the body and it emits on radiations continuously like an isotope. You know about the isotopes. Isotopes emit radiations. So we are able to find out the age of any dead remains, any fossil by this method. So T-half is very important tool to find out the age of any ancient substance. Now coming to this point, so T-half for this C14 is 5,770 years. This is standard point. So once animal dies, if plant is cut down, then the concentration of C14, the strength of C14 starts decreasing with respect to time because it emits radiations. Now see here, if you take 4 gram CO2, 4 gram CO2 having C14. So after 5,770 years, it will be reduced to 2 gram. It will be reduced to 2 gram. This is the point. 5,770 years, it will 4 will be reduced to 2 grams as per our statement. Now again, 5,770 years, it is reduced to 1 gram. It is reduced to 1 gram. And again, after 5,770 years, it is reduced to 0.5 gram. Again, after 5,770 years, it is reduced to 1 gram. So children, 1, 2, 3 and 4. So it is more than 30,000 years. So you can imagine that it will never come to an end. There is always a possibility. Children, there is always a possibility of finding out even traces of isotopes in nature. And we can compare the age of any dead remain or any fossil or any animal's body by this method. Scientists have a standard reference points that a fresh sample of wood or fresh sample of organic matter which is living, it emits approximately 14 emissions per gram per second. And from reference we can find out the age of any monument having any painting or any wood piece or any fossil or any animal body which is found in form of any mummy or found in form of impression or found in form of fossil. So this is very much important part you have to keep in mind.